Hi guys, back again with a Discovering the SNES video, and this week I've been playing Star Fox. So this game is iconic, I would say. It spawned a significant series for Nintendo, and creating some very memorable characters too. So this game came out in 1993, and is obviously the original in that series. And it also kind of featured the Super FX chip. So you see here that the game has a lot of polygonal graphics, and that was very novel at the time, I guess, especially on a 16-bit home system. And so for me, playing Star Fox is quite an interesting experience, because Star Fox 64, or to give it its proper name for Europe, Lilac Wars. This game, I spent a lot of time with on the N64. Initially, I rented it. It was a kind of classic pick up on a Saturday morning, play all weekend, and drop it back late on a Sunday. And I think over that one weekend I completed it, and then subsequently I think I borrowed it off of someone and kind of completed it again. So I spent quite a lot of time with the N64 game, but never played the SNES game until this week, basically. And so for me, being very familiar with the following game on the next gen console, I can see sort of all sorts of touches that were kind of maintained from this original game onto the N64 one. So even simple things like the level select screen that we saw at the beginning, that kind of moved forward with the N64 game. More routes, and yeah, rather than just we had the choice between 3 routes. Yeah, we have the choice between 3 routes on the SNES game here, whereas the N64 brought kind of switchable routes where you could go one way, and depending on how you did on those levels, you could then go a different way. And so yeah, so we can see the graphics here. I mean, for a SNES game, this is pretty impressive, I would say. And it plays really quite well, I would say. I'm quite impressed. It doesn't have the kind of reticle for aiming that the N64 game does, so you kind of just have to sort of track where the previous bullet has gone and then respond to that. But that's okay. But it really creates quite a nice 3D environment. It's fairly smooth. I don't know what the frame rate it's running, but it doesn't feel like it's kind of chugging significantly. And so yeah, I'm definitely pretty impressed with this. And having spent a lot of time with the N64 game, the game mechanic really came very naturally to me. The first time I played this, I used a few continues, but I did complete it. Beat Andros at the end. So yeah, we've got the kind of opening stage here, Corneria, which is very similar to the opening stage of the N64 game, also set on Corneria. And also there we saw there we go. We've got Peppy Hare and Fox's teammates in Team Star Fox. They make an appearance. There's obviously no voice acting here, but actually playing the N64 game, I can read that text and imagine what they'd be saying in the voices of the characters from the later game. So most levels follow this kind of basic pattern. You have a scrolling section, shoot the enemies, and then a big boss appears, and they've generally got a weak spot, and that weak spot is kind of flashing. So there we go, that where things are getting released from there. I think it releases some kind of bullets at you if we hadn't just shot it so quickly. But yeah, you just kind of shoot those weak spots, and in this case bits of the boss fall off, which again is quite a nice effect in the 3D polygons. Okay, so we've taken out the bottom of these guns. Let's take out the top one. There we go. So it gets a bit more aggressive now, shooting at me, and it's got a weakness at the back as well. So we can get some shots off there. We've not got much shield left, so okay. There we go, taking it out. And your shield refills between levels too, so that's good. So yeah, I'm really impressed. Yeah, there's Fox, Slippy Toad, Peppy Hare, and Falco, and even in this game they kind of are creating a bit of the kind of personalities that I guess they develop in the subsequent games, where you know, Peppy's kind of old and wise but fairly friendly. Falco's generally fairly grumpy. And Slippy's kind of like the younger, more naive type character. Okay, so Andross's forces intend to build a base in this area, in the asteroid belt, destroy their rock crusher. Good luck. So in terms of controllers, this week, so in the second game, I featured Hyperzone. I think it was Hyperzone when I used PS1 digital pad, which obviously kind of was inspired by the SNES layout. When I featured that controller, I spoke a little bit about the controller, but I didn't actually speak much about kind of my thoughts and impressions of it. So this week I've got a PlayStation 2 controller. This is a clear blue DualShock 2. And for the SNES, you know, it has all those same buttons as the PS1 digital pad. And the SNES, so yeah, works pretty well with it. This particular controller, I've got quite a lot of PlayStation controllers, or certainly the PS1 and PS2 controllers in, you know, different colours, and this one particularly is probably my favourite. I really like the colour on it. It's kind of a, you know, I like these kind of clear plastic controllers, which were, I guess, pretty popular around the kind of early 2000s. And yeah, this particular shade I think is really very nice. So with these kind of PlayStation controllers, I guess I like them. I mean, I think the DualShock, and you know, Sony really brought, you know, first to bring that kind of twin analog stick layout, which has pretty much become the standard going forwards. If you look at a, you know, PS5 controller today, or an Xbox controller that has the twin sticks, although the D-pad and analog sticks are swapped, you know, the number of buttons and the layout is really, you know, it's the same. So this really defined the layout for 3D control pads, 3D control pads going forwards. And you know, I quite like a PlayStation controller. I think it's comfortable. The thing I don't like on it though is the D-pad. I don't, you know, last week I featured the Sega Saturn controller, and that really has just the best D-pad. It's, you know, as I said, it's kind of loose yet precise, and I find the PlayStation D-pad just, it's not that comfortable. It's maybe doesn't give you as much of a an impression of you know, changing direction. I don't know, it's just that, you know, going away from the kind of floating disc type layout of the Saturn pad to this, but yeah, not my favourite. The other aspects of the pad are absolutely fine though. Certainly the shoulder buttons compared to the Saturn pad are just way better. I mentioned I really don't like the Saturn shoulder buttons. So as a kind of complete controller for pretty much any kind of game, you know, the DualShock 2 is a great option. and I've got numerous kind of USB adapters, or actually adapters to almost any system for the PlayStation. I've got adapters to pretty much every single console up until my Xbox One. And one of the reasons for that is if you've seen some of my arcade sticks, they're all made with PS1 digital pad hacks, where I've wired in the arcade buttons to that pad. And so I want to be able to use those on every system, but it also means that I can use any PlayStation. One of the reasons actually I've got so many PlayStation controllers. And so, yeah, for example, like the Dreamcast, if you follow my Instagram, you will have seen that I don't like the Dreamcast controller very much. But, I'm probably more inclined to use a PlayStation controller on the Dreamcast. So yeah, that was stage 2. So we went through the asteroids. It also changed our view, where previously we were kind of third person behind the ship. Now we're first person in the ship. In some ways, I kind of prefer those levels. Not sure what it is. Maybe it just feels kind of slightly easier to avoid the enemy fire. But yeah, that level wasn't particularly different there. Yeah, particularly difficult. Okay, so Space Armada level. So the Space Armada consists of powerful battleships. Destroy the energy cores.
Good luck.
Oh yeah, I remember this being quite nice actually. Quite nice effect, or kind of like a big space battle, and we start outside of the ships and we go into some of the big craft and take out the energy cores. I think that's this one. Might be the next one. Yeah, we see these kind of particle effects as well. I think they're quite nice too. Well, I don't know. It feels like the frame rate is dropping a bit there, because there's quite a lot going on. I guess was I shooting Falco? That's one thing, because your teammates, they kind of fly on screen and they ask you to save them. But because the graphics are pretty basic and the resolution's not that high, sometimes it's hard to tell which ones are them and which ones are the enemies, so you end up shooting them. And actually with Falco, he still moans when you save him, so I don't really mind shooting that guy. Okay, so I think this is the bit where, Slippy's saying, should we go in? So you go from the outside space section to this sort of, I guess in some ways it's almost sort of Star Wars-esque, through the, some sort of shield upgrade. Yeah, through the tunnel, and we basically have to progress and destroy the core of the ship. Not sure if we shot it or whether I just crashed into it. So yeah, we've seen a chunk of Star Fox now, and it's also a game that a lot of people are quite familiar with. So yeah, I think I'll wrap this video up. So yeah, I'm really impressed with Star Fox as someone who hadn't played it until now, but someone who was very familiar with the N64 game. It's a great thing to try. It's almost like a demake of a game I loved. So yeah, I'd recommend people give it a go. I mean, if you haven't played this, it's well worth firing up. I mean, the graphics are basic, and if you've never played a Star Fox game, I'd probably recommend the N64 game over this, because I think it really refines the basic graphics and the whole concept, and really moves it on that bit further. You know, you've got the voice acting of the characters, and so there's more kind of character development. It looks better. But in terms of seeing where this game has come from, and you know what can be done on a 16-bit system, albeit with the super effects chip that the cartridge had, it's, you know, I don't think there's an equivalent game on the Mega Drive, for example. So this is a really nice example of what the SNES can do. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I'm still on the lookout for more SNES games to be recommended, so if you have any suggestions of SNES games I've not featured yet, just you know, send me a message on various social medias, or put something down in the comments, and yeah, maybe that game I'll feature soon. So yeah, you guys stay safe, and I'll catch you on the next one. See you then. Bye.